Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a really interesting stack of sources, all centering around one book that's got a lot of people talking. It promises to, well, kind of shake up how you deal with pretty much everyone.
That's right. We're diving into the let them theory, a life-changing tool that millions of people can't stop talking about by Mel Robbins.
And this falls squarely into nonfiction, right? Self-help, personal development.
Exactly, but with a really strong focus on relationships,
Yeah.
how we navigate things with other people, but also, maybe even more importantly, the relationship we have with ourselves. It's full of relatable stuff and this core theory.
Yeah, the source material really positions it as more than just like an interesting idea. It's presented as a genuinely revolutionary tool, a way to cut through all that external pressure and reclaim your own power, your energy.
So our mission today is really to unpack that, get into the core equation, look at the insights the book offers, some of the research mentioned, and see how it actually applies to those, well, frustrating everyday situations we all face.
We're going to dig into why we get so tangled up in things we can't control, and then unpack this deceptively simple idea the book puts forward. It's about figuring out how to stop giving away your power.
Okay, let's get into it. So the starting point is something pretty universal, isn't it? That feeling.
Yeah.
Completely overwhelmed or just unhappy because of stuff happening outside of you.
Yeah, specifically other people, what they do, what they think, what they say or don't say.
Right. That constant battle inside, feeling like your own peace is kind of held hostage by someone else's mood or, what you think they're judging you for.
And the book makes this really key point right at the start. The main problem isn't actually you.
No, it's the incredible amount of power you've maybe unknowingly handed over to other people.
Okay, but why do we do that? Why give away control like that?
Well, the sources point to something really fundamental, a deep, hardwired human need for control. It's like evolutionary. We try to manage our environment to survive,
So it's a basic instinct?
pretty much. And
Yeah.
where does this really show up in our interactions?
Mhm.
And the root driver?
What is it?
Fear. Plain and simple.
Right.
Fear of being excluded.
Mhm.
If we don't manage how people react, maybe they'll leave us. Fear of not being liked. Fear that if we let go, everything just falls apart.
Yeah, I can see that. We think if we can just like control or manage people enough, we'll stay safe.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And you see it play out constantly. Trying to guess what everyone wants so you say the right thing, keep the peace.
Oh, yeah. Or bending over backwards for a partner to avoid any kind of conflict, pulling all-nighters to impress a colleague, even when it burns you out.
Or walking on eggshells around family, trying to dodge that judgment. It's like a constant performance.
Totally.
And here's where the book drops a kind of counterintuitive bomb. All that effort, trying to control others,
Mm.
it doesn't actually calm the fear. It does the opposite.
It makes it worse. How?
It amplifies it.
Oh.
Because you're fundamentally trying to control something. You can't control another person's thoughts, feelings, choices.
Right. That makes sense.
The source material actually quotes psychologists confirming this. The more you try to control the uncontrollable, the more your anxiety just goes up. It's like a direct link. Creates this endless cycle of effort, frustration, which just feeds the fear more.
Wow. Okay. That hits hard because it feels really true. So when you let someone else's mood or their actions or what you think they're judging you for, when you let that dictate how you feel,
You're literally giving your power away, draining your own energy. You're letting them control your internal state.
which is completely exhausting, like trying to empty the ocean with a teaspoon or something.
Exactly. Your time, your energy, your headspace, all consumed by managing things you can't actually change. And that perfectly sets the stage for the solution the book offers.
Which brings us right to the core idea, the main equation. Let them plus let me. This is pitched as the key.
Right. That's the formula. It's two parts. And you absolutely need both working together. It's not just one or the other. It's the interplay.
Okay, let's break down the first part then. Let them. What does that actually look like? What does it mean?
So let them is basically a conscious choice. You decide to give other people the space and freedom they frankly already have anyway.
Right.
You're giving yourself permission to accept that they're free to say what they want, think what they want, do what they want, feel whatever they're feeling.
And the book is careful to say this isn't about feeling superior, like, oh, I'm above all their drama.
No, not at all. The source really stresses it's about balance. Acknowledging their right to be who they are with their own world going on inside, while you preserve your own space. It's like putting up an internal boundary around their stuff.
And what's the immediate effect of mentally saying, let them? What does the book say that does?
It's described almost like hitting a reset switch on your stress response. When you think let them, you signal to your brain, specifically the amygdala, the threat detector, that, hey, this situation, whatever they're doing, it's not actually a threat worth getting stressed about.
Oh,
It
yeah.
lets you detach from that first wave of negative emotion that often just hits you automatically.
Like an internal circuit breaker. The source uses a great analogy too, the seesaw.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
When you get caught up in their negativity or criticism, it's like they're piling weight on their side and you sink down feeling heavy, powerless.
Mhm.
Saying let them is like pushing off the ground on your side. You kind of regain your balance, lift yourself up. It shifts the whole dynamic, at least inside your head.
Yeah, it helps you get your footing back, get some perspective, rise above that immediate emotional reaction. But, like the book says, that's only half of it. The other crucial part is let me.
Right. And this is where the power you freed up by like detaching,
Yeah.
this is where it comes back to you. Let me means shifting your focus, your energy back to the only thing you actually can control.
Which is yourself,
Yeah.
your thoughts, your actions, your words, and maybe the most important bit, how you choose to respond to whatever's happening.
Hmm.
It's about taking back control over your own world, internal and external.
This feels like where the real change happens, doesn't it? When you stop pouring energy into managing things you can't influence.
Exactly. Things you can't possibly change. And instead, you focus that energy, like really deliberately, on what is in your control. That's when you become powerful. You're not just reacting automatically anymore, driven by fear or what someone else did.
You're consciously choosing, intentionally.
That's the core of it. Let them. Creates the space, detaching from the uncontrollable, the noise. Then let me fills that space by focusing your energy on your own intentional response, taking responsibility for yourself.
It sounds simple when you lay it out, but the book really emphasizes that applying it is the real work and the real transformation. It digs into how this works in different, often tricky parts of life.
It does, and it gives some practical ways to approach them. Let's start with one that's often super challenging. Family dynamics, family opinions.
Oh boy. Yeah, family stuff is layered, isn't it? So much history, unspoken rules. Those opinions can hit differently, feel really impactful, sometimes hurtful.
They really can. The book explains that family often feels entitled to their opinions because, well, they think they know best. Or sometimes it's about what's best for them and how your choices affect the family system.
Right, like if you change careers or move away, it disrupts things.
Exactly. It disrupts the established system, and that often gets met with resistance or strong opinions because change can feel threatening to the status quo.
Okay, so applying let them here means letting them have those opinions, even the critical, judgmental ones.
Pretty much. You
Yeah.
consciously decide to give them the freedom to think what they think, say what they say. It's their opinion, their right to have it, however it feels to you. You let them.
And then the let me piece.
That becomes your focus, choosing how you respond. The book points out that arguing or trying to change a deeply held family opinion is usually pointless.
Yeah, probably.
So instead, you focus on living your life in a way that makes you proud, aligned with your values, and crucially, you don't let guilt or their disapproval drive your choices.
The book brings in a really useful tool here from Lisa Bilyeu, the frame of reference. Can you explain that a bit?
Yeah, this is super helpful for family, but honestly, any relationship clash. The idea is to really understand, not agree with, but understand why someone holds an opinion. You try to step into their experience, their frame of reference.
See it from their perspective.
Exactly. Look at the world through their eyes, shaped by their history, their fears, their values. The author uses her own story. Her mom's reaction when she married her husband, Chris.
Right, she thought her mom was judging him.
Yeah, from her frame of reference, it felt like judgment, lack of support. But the book explains, when she looked back through her mother's frame of reference, knowing her mom's life, her attachment, her fear of her daughter moving cross-country,
Ah,
she realized her mom wasn't really judging Chris. She was dealing with her own fear and grief about losing closeness. Her reaction came from her reality, her emotions.
and the big insight is that both views can feel right from inside their own frame.
Precisely. The daughter was right to marry who she loved. The mother was right to feel scared about the distance. Understanding that dissolves the need to argue or change them, creates compassion. The book says it removes the power struggle because you shift from trying to change them to understanding their reality and managing your response.
That makes a lot of sense. It's especially relevant in blended families, like step-parenting, which the book mentions is tough.
Definitely. New adults coming in can feel like a threat to kids who might be grieving or feel like they're competing for attention.
So, applying the theory there.
As the adult, you let them grieve. Let them see you as a threat initially, maybe. Let them feel their difficult feelings. Let them have that needed alone time with their biological parent. You accept it's their process.
Okay. And the let me.
It's about your choice in that space. Let me be the wise, compassionate adult. Operate with grace, understanding the dynamics. Create space for things to potentially shift over time without forcing it. You focus on your own consistent, kind behavior.
It's accepting their reality without letting it control yours. Okay, let's shift to another common struggle. Dealing with tricky emotional reactions from others. The book calls them adult tantrums.
Huh. Yeah, the silent treatment, passive aggression, those big outbursts. The truth is, adults often act like kids when they're upset because they haven't learned healthy ways to process emotions.
And the source says it's not really about you.
Mostly not. It comes from their struggle, their inability to regulate.
Yeah.
It might feel personal, like it's directed right at you, but the capacity for that reaction, that's inside them. You might be the trigger, but the reaction itself is theirs.
So let them, in this case, is what?
Literally, let them act like an 8-year-old. Mentally recognize their emotional immaturity is their issue,
Yeah.
not yours to fix, manage, or be held hostage by. You let them have their meltdown, their silent treatment.
Okay. And let me.
It's about choosing your response.
Yeah.
You can choose compassion, recognizing their behavior stems from their own struggle.
Yeah.
But compassion doesn't mean being a doormat.
Yeah.
It means setting boundaries, refusing to let their reactions dictate your choices or drain your energy. The source is clear. If you're constantly managing someone else's emotions, you always come last.
The book even dips into the science of emotions here.
Yeah, briefly. That emotions are basically chemical bursts. The intense physical feeling often only lasts about 90 seconds if you don't keep feeding it with thoughts or reactions.
Understanding that helps you manage your own reaction to their tantrum. See the initial burst, then choose not to get sucked in. It also mentions things like being hungry or tired can amplify reactions.
Totally. So if someone's melting down, maybe they're just hangry or exhausted on top of their usual pattern.
Yeah.
The main point is, stop letting their emotional immaturity control you. Let them have their storm, but you choose your response. Protect your peace.
Sounds freeing, but probably takes practice. Okay, what about comparison, that chronic, painful habit?
Ah, yes. Constantly looking at others' lives, their successes, their highlight reels. Or focusing on stuff you can't change about yourself. Looks, background, luck.
And the book calls it what?
Self-torture. Seriously. A huge waste of energy that just kills your confidence, makes you feel stuck, fuels procrastination, drives perfectionism.
So how does the theory apply?
Let them. Let others have their success. Let them have their achievements, their perfect Instagram life, their advantages. Let them have the cards they were dealt. Stop obsessing over their hand and what it means about you. Except life isn't always fair in that sense.
And the let me part.
Is reclaiming all that energy you wasted comparing and pouring it into your hand. What you can control. Your effort, your consistency, your unique path. Turning comparison from paralyzing doubt into fuel and inspiration for your journey.
The book shares that story about Molly, the interior designer, right, who was jealous of someone else's online success.
Yeah, and the key takeaway there is that intense jealousy, especially towards someone who doesn't seem to have an unfair edge, often points directly to the work you've been avoiding. That person irritating you with their success. They might be unconsciously showing you, hey, if I can do this, maybe you can too. Your anger isn't really at them. It's often at yourself for not starting sooner or putting in the work. A tough lesson, but powerful.
The author also talks about her own renovation jealousy, seeing friends get things she wanted but couldn't afford yet. Seeing them achieve it, even over years, fueled her own drive to work for it.
It's proof of concept. So the message is, stop letting others' success make you feel small. Let them have their journey. Use it as fuel for yours. Focus on your cards, your effort, your path.
Okay, that's a good reframe. Let's talk about adult friendships. The book mentions the great scattering, how things change when proximity goes away.
It's a huge shift. Friendships aren't as easy as when everyone lived nearby or was in the same life stage. The book talks about 3 pillars: proximity, timing, and energy. When those shift, people move, schedules change, energy for socializing dips, friendships often fade. And it's usually not personal.
But it still stings when you realize you're the only one making the effort, right? You start reaching out and nothing.
Absolutely painful. And applying let them here means letting people show you who they are and where you fit in their life right now. Accepting energy shifts, different directions, changing priorities, accepting the truth in their behavior even if it hurts. You let them not call back.
And let me.
Is taking responsibility for building the connections you want now. Instead of dwelling on what's faded, focus on creating community in your current life. The book gives that give it a year advice from the author's daughter Sawyer in college.
Right. It took a whole year of consistently putting herself out there to find her group.
Exactly. Building new connections takes time and effort. It highlights the habit of going first, introducing yourself, initiating contact, putting yourself in new situations, even if it feels awkward.
Like the author moving to a new town and just starting conversations.
Yes, actively building that social scaffolding, connection by connection. Loneliness is real, the book acknowledges, but you have the power to counter it by focusing on your actions. Let them not be available, and let me proactively find or create connections elsewhere.
So stop waiting for it to happen magically. Let people show you where you stand, accept it, and take responsibility for building the community you want by going first. Makes sense.
Okay, another big one the book covers. Trying to get someone else to change. Partner, kid, parent, friend. Someone doing something you think they shouldn't.
Oh, that's a classic. We see someone struggling or making choices we don't like, and we want to fix it for them.
And the book is blunt.
Mhm.
Pressure, nagging, it just doesn't work. Remember that hardwired need for control? Pressure feels like an attack on their autonomy. It creates instant resistance, a power struggle.
Plus, change is hard work. Painful sometimes. You can't do it for them. They need their own reason, their own why. People often think they're the exception, right? Oh, I can make them change.
Totally. So let them, here's tough. You let them sit on the couch. Let them make their own choices, even if you hate them. You accept, you can't force them to change if they don't want to. You let go of that idea.
But you're not totally powerless. The book talks about social contagion.
Right. From Dr. Sherritt's research, you can't force change, but you can influence. People are hugely influenced by those around them, especially people they respect. Behavior is spread through modeling, not force.
And the let me part uses this. Instead of pressure, you influence by modeling.
Yes, you walk the talk. Want your partner to eat healthier? You focus on your healthy eating, making it look good, feeling good. Want your teen off their phone? You put yours away during family time. Want a friend to exercise? You talk enthusiastically about your runs.
So modeling makes the behavior look appealing, easy, normal, influences them subtly, makes them think it was their idea, taps into their motivation, not their resistance.
Exactly. And the book offers the ABC loop for a structured approach. A. Apologize for pressure. Ask open-ended questions. B. Back off. Observe behavior. C. Celebrate progress. Continue modeling.
Step A uses motivational interviewing techniques, right? Asking questions like, how's this working for you? Not telling them they're wrong, but helping them see the issue. You let them talk, you let me listen.
Helps them find their motivation. Then step B, crucial. Back off. Give them space. Don't nag. Let them process. And keep modeling the positive behavior yourself while they do.
And step C reinforces any small positive steps with genuine praise, pairs the behavior with positive attention, making it more likely to stick, and you keep modeling.
So you drop the pressure. Let them have control. Use your let me power to influence through modeling and creating an environment where change feels like their choice.
This leads to maybe the toughest application, helping someone you love who's really struggling. Addiction, mental health, deep grief.
It's agonizing to watch. You want to dive in and rescue them? But the book shares a hard truth. You can't want their recovery more than they do. Not everyone is ready.
And that idea that rescuing them, shielding them from consequences, can actually prevent healing.
Yeah, it sounds harsh, but constantly solving their problems, paying their debts, enabling avoidance. You stop them from hitting that point, that rock bottom, that might actually spark their own motivation to change. It prevents them connecting with their own motivational circuitry.
The author's example with her daughter's anxiety. Letting her sleep on the floor seemed helpful, but it enabled avoidance and made the anxiety worse long term. It sent the message, I don't think you're strong enough.
Exactly. So let them, in these really hard situations, means letting them struggle, letting them face consequences, even painful ones, letting them violate terms of support if needed. It's not cruel. It's allowing them the dignity and necessity of finding their own strength.
And the let me is how you support without enabling.
You stand by them. Hold the light high. Be a beacon of hope. Believe in their ability to face it, even when they don't. Let them borrow belief from you, as the book says. Like the author's community after her daughter's birth, they were just present, creating a healing space, believing in her recovery, without trying to solve it for her.
It mentions financial support too sometimes. Let me means cutting them off if it's enabling destruction, like her husband's brother saying no, forcing him to find his own solution.
The key is distinguishing enabling avoidance from providing supportive presence and belief, allowing them the space to find their own motivation by facing difficulty.
Okay, shifting slightly. Romantic relationships. Finding them, being in them. The book admits modern dating can be rough.
Oh, definitely. Confusing, disheartening. Applying the theory starts right there, in the dating phase.
So let them in dating means.
Let them not text back.
Yeah.
Let them send mixed signals. Let them break promises. Let them prioritize other things, basically. Let their behavior be the message. Accept the truth their actions reveal. Don't get lost trying to decode or change it.
And let me.
See them clearly. Accept the truth. Reclaim your power by choosing who gets your time and energy. Walk away from what's clearly not right, or from people whose behavior shows you're not a priority or they aren't available. Stop chasing people who don't want you the way you need.
The book really pushes being choosy. You're looking for a co-creator, not just anyone.
Exactly. Saying no to the wrong ones makes space for the right one. The book has that great line, if they like you, you'll know. If they don't, you'll be confused. So let their confusion be the message. Let it tell you it's not aligned.
What about applying it in a relationship?
The book suggests something pretty bold. Let them assume your partner won't change that core thing bothering you. Let them be who they are, even if it's frustrating. You can't force change.
And let me is taking responsibility for your own choices based on that reality.
Precisely. The book says basically end the bitching or end the relationship. If you stay, you commit to loving them as they are, without resentment about that issue. You choose your internal response.
It mentions Gottman's research. Some compatibility issues are just unresolvable.
That's the reality. Sometimes both choices, stay or go, involve heartbreak, like the London job offer example. One partner chooses the job. The theory says, let them move. Let me make my choice in response. Accept their choice, take responsibility for your path.
So, dating. Stop chasing, let behavior be the truth. Relationships. Stop expecting change. Let them be. Make your choice. Shifts the power back.
And finally, the book tackles heartbreak, one of the toughest experiences.
Brutal. And the usual love yourself advice feels useless then, right? You often feel the opposite.
Totally. Applying let them in heartbreak isn't about making pain vanish. It's allowing it. Letting yourself grieve. Letting the sadness, anger, confusion exist without fighting it. The theory helps you navigate the pain, not avoid it.
It gives practical advice, starting with that crucial no contact for 30 days.
Absolutely essential. Not to manipulate them, but to break your nervous system patterns tied to them, checking socials, wanting to call, break those circuits.
So let me in heartbreak is directing energy to healing yourself.
Yes. Let me give myself permission to grieve, cry, feel sad, talk about it. And crucially, let me resist reaching out because that just reopens the wound.
Other tips include journaling, talking to friends or therapists, filling your calendar to avoid obsessive thoughts, and tackling a challenging project just for you.
Something that makes you proud, rebuilds your sense of self outside the relationship. And that powerful question, how would I spend my single time if I knew the love of my life was just around the corner?
Yeah, that shifts focus immediately from loss to possibility, signals belief in future happiness.
It's accepting the grief, but intentionally choosing actions that support healing, rebuild identity, and look forward, reclaiming energy from the past and investing it in your life now.
Which brings us to the final, maybe most crucial application, the relationship with yourself.
This feels like the foundation for everything else, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It underpins everything.
So applying let them to yourself means letting go of needing to control your own internal state, letting go of trying to instantly fix sadness or anxiety, accepting they're temporary and will pass if you don't fight them, accepting parts of yourself you resisted before.
And let me to yourself. That's the ultimate power move.
It's focusing all that reclaimed energy inward, how you treat yourself, setting boundaries, self-compassion, self-respect, prioritizing well-being, and taking full, unapologetic responsibility for pursuing your dreams, your goals, your happiness. No waiting for permission.
The sky analogy comes back here, right? You can't control the external weather, what others do, life's challenges. That's the universe's let them.
But you choose how you navigate it, how you react, how it affects you. Does a comment crush you, or do you let it roll off? Do bad experiences make you lower standards or become more resilient? Does others' success paralyze you or inspire you?
The book really highlights the cost of not using this theory. All that wasted energy resisting reality, missed opportunities because of fear of judgment or being stuck managing others.
And that idea, maybe jarring at first, but liberating. It's all your fault. You're not where you want to be, meaning you are in charge. Others don't define you unless you let them.
The freedom comes from controlling your own thoughts, words, actions, energy. Stop getting consumed by external noise. Turn that focus inward, powerfully, compassionately.
The book calls it Welcoming Your Let Me Era, an era of starting things, taking risks, being honest, pursuing goals, creating a life that makes you proud, knowing you're in charge of your response.
Okay, so let's quickly recap this deep dive into the let them theory. We started with that universal urge to control others, rooted in fear, and how it actually backfires, draining our power.
Then we broke down the core equation. Let them, giving others space, detaching from the uncontrollable, creating space inside us. And let me, shifting focus and energy back to ourselves, our thoughts, actions, responses, filling that space with intention.
We saw how it applies everywhere. Family dynamics, difficult emotions, comparison, friendships, influencing change through modeling, helping strugglers without enabling, romance, heartbreak.
And finally, the most vital part, turning it inward. Building that relationship with yourself, letting go of controlling internal states, claiming responsibility for your actions, self-treatment, and happiness.
The core message is really clear. Reclaim your power, not by controlling others, but by letting go of that impossibility and focusing intensely on controlling your own response and actions.
Exactly, it's potent.
So, as we wrap up, here's a final thought, something to maybe kickstart your own let me era. Think about one thing, just one small move you've wanted to make, but you've hesitated because you're worried about what someone else might think or say, that let them fear.
Okay, now apply it. Let them think whatever. Let them react however. And focus purely on let me. What's that one step you could take this week just because you want to, because it makes you proud, ignoring that external let them noise?
Just shifting focus like that, from
Yeah.
fearing them to deciding, let me do this for me, can be incredibly freeing. If this resonated, we really encourage you to check out the book itself. Mel Robbins packs it with more stories, research, specific tools.
Yeah, there's so much more depth there. We've really just scratched the surface in this deep dive.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us for this exploration of the let them theory. We hope it gives you a powerful new way to look at things, and maybe a tool to reclaim your energy and build a life that truly makes you proud.